Yallay, lay, 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 yallay, lay, 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 yallay, lay, 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 yallay, yay, lay, lay, yallay, lay, 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 yallay, lay, 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 yallay, lay, 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 yallay, yay, lay, lay, yallay, lay, 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 yay, lay, 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 yallay, lay, lay, lay. Yay, lay, 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 lay. Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom, everyone.
Shabbat Shalom.
Due to the forecast, we moved our services inside, which means it won't rain at all. Had we been outside, it would have poured, and so you can thank us for having a dry parking lot on your way out. We invite Linda Barr, Temple President, to share announcements and a welcome with everybody as we begin our service.
Shabbat Shalom. First, I want to thank Jim Nelson tonight for donating our beautiful flowers in honor of his late wife Joan's first Yortzeit reading. May Joan's memory be for a blessing. Announcements. High Holy Days. Yes, it's coming up. Service registration is open. Please see our website for details. The first annual Isaac Temple Israel Summer Outdoor Luncheon is this Sunday, August 13th at 11:30 in the Mosque Outdoor Pavilion. Check your email for the registration link. On August 20th at 7:30 p.m., John Shulin has graciously volunteered to host a sunset hike and night of stargazing at Bath Nature Preserve. Event details and the RSVP link is in the weekly email. We're looking for volunteers for the Pride March and to staff Temple Israel's booth at the Pride Festival on Saturday, August 26th. If you're interested, please contact Joe Gardner. Wine and Welcome next week. Joe Gardner, right. Wine and Welcome next week is co-sponsored by Norm and Nancy Shear and Howard and Sue Walton in honor of their wedding anniversaries. Please join us at 5:30. And last but not least, you should have all gotten this in the mail, Temple Israel's annual report. Take a look at it. Don't read it at bedtime. It is really exciting, and that will just wind you up. Okay, so it's wonderful, and take a look at it because staff and clergy spent a lot of time on this wonderful product. Thank you. Shabbat Shalom.
Oops.
You'll take a moment to turn to those around you, especially do we have any people here for the first time? You raise your hand if you're here for the first time. Yeah, a couple of people here for the first time. Make sure that you say Shabbat Shalom and get to know each other before we begin to pray together. We're going to invite Lynn Weinberger and Shelley Kay to light our Shabbat candles. The blessings can be found on page 2 and 3 in our prayer books.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat. You'll hold up the Kiddush cup?
I'll hold up the Kiddush cup.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu, v'shabbat kodesho b'yahava uvratzon hinchilanu, zikaron l'maaseh v'reishit. Ki hu yom techila lamikra'e kodesh, zecher l'tziat Mitzrayim. Ki banu v'charta v'otanu kidashta mikol ha'amim, ושבת קודשך באהבה וברצון הנחתנו. ברוך אתה אדוני מקדש השבת. אמן.
Chaim. Page 10 in our prayer books, we welcome each other as brothers and sisters, as members of our extended family. Hine matov umanaim, how good it is for us to be together. Page 10.
Hine matov umanayim, shevet achim gam yachad. Hine matov umanayim, shevet achim gam yachad. Hine matov, shevet achim gam yachad. Hine matov, shevet achim gam yachad. Hine matov umanayim, shevet achim gam yachad. Hine matov umanayim, shevet achim gam yachad.
So I do want to add a plug for the picnic this Sunday for those who haven't been a part of our Jewish-Muslim dialogue. It's a great way to be able to get together. I'm sorry we won't be able to be there because we're picking up our kids from camp, and this is where we find out if our kids want to live with us anymore or not. It's too important of a day for us. We may come home with 2 more kids, or we may not. So we wish we could be there, but it is a wonderful event that in many ways our communities have graduated to, this idea of breaking bread together and being together as we wind down summer, which is also a reminder of how we look towards time at this time of year and how we get ready for this change of seasons, if not in the weather and outdoors in our Jewish world, how we turn towards our holidays in the next few weeks as we'll transition into the month of Elul, the month that leads us into Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur. We start to turn that corner towards the more serious questions that we have to ask ourselves for how this past year was and how this year to be will be for us. And so we do that in big ways and small ways as we share the words of L'chad Odi. It's our way of looking back on this week, just these last 6 days. How do they fall into our year? Have they been good ones? Have they been filled with blessings? Have they been challenging? Have we overcome obstacles? And how do we make this day, our Shabbat, a blessing for us? Page 20, the words of L'chad Odi. We welcome Shabbat as a community.
L'chad Odi likrat kala, pnei Shabbat nekabela. 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 Shamor v'zachor b'dibor echad, השמיענו אל המיוחד, אדוני אחד, שמו אחד, לשמו תפארת ולתהילה. l'chad Odi לקרא כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. l'chad Odi לקרא כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לקראת שבת לכו ונלכה, כי מקור הברכה, מראש מקדם נסוכה, סוף מעשה במשכבה תחילה. l'chad Odi לקרא כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. l'chad Odi לקרא כלה, pnei Shabbat nekabela. Verse 5. Hitoreri, hitoreri, Kiva orech kumi ori uri uri shir daveri kavod Adonai alayich nigla lecha dodi likra kala penei Shabbat nekabela lecha dodi likra kala penei Shabbat nekabela.
Please rise as we face our entrance to the sanctuary, to our homes, for those viewing at home, as we welcome Shabbat.
Bohi v'shalom ateret bala gam b'simcha u'v'zochola toch emuneh hamsegula bohi chala lecha dodi likra kala penei Shabbat nekabela lecha dodi likra kala penei Shabbat nekabela.
Remain standing, page 26.
Yikada v'ikada shemei rabba ve'almad yivrach yirtei v'yamlich malchutei b'chayechon u'vyomechon u'chayedecho beit Yisrael ba'agala u'vizman kariv v'imeru amen. Yehi shmei rabba mevorach le'alam u'me'omaya yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitroma v'yitnaseh v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shemei dekudesha barichu le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechemata da'amiran ve'alma v'imeru amen.
Baruch Hu, page 28.
La 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 Baruch Hu et Adonai HaMevorach Baruch Adonai HaMorach Le'olam va'ed
Page 31. This is an hour of change. Within it we stand uncertain on the border of light. Shall we draw back or cross over? Where shall our hearts turn? Shall we draw back, my brother, my sister, or cross over? For this is the hour of change, and within it we stand here quietly on the border of light, asking what lies before us. Shall we draw back, my brother, my sister, or cross over?
Baruch atah Adonai Ha'ma'ariv Aravi.
Page 32. Everlasting love, you offered your people Israel by teaching us Torah and mitzvot, laws and precepts. Therefore, Adonai our God, when we lie down and when we rise up, we will meditate on your laws and your commandments. We will rejoice in your Torah forever. Day and night we will reflect on them, for they are our life, and doing them lengthens our days. Never remove your love from us. Praise to you, Adonai, who loves your people Israel.
Baruch atah Adonai Ohev Amo Yisrael.
Pages 34 and 35, Shema.
Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Leolam Vaed.
You may be seated if you'd like. Page 36, we continue by chanting V'ahavta together.
V'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודך, והיו הדברים האלה אשר אלוהים מצווך היום על לבבך, ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם לאות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובישעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם, אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים, אני אדוני אלוהיכם.
Please join me responsively, page 39. In a world torn by violence and pain, a world far from wholeness and peace, give us the courage to say, Adonai, there is one God in heaven and earth. From bondage in Egypt we were delivered. At Sinai we bound ourselves to your way. Though our failings are many and our faults are great, it has been our glory to bear witness to our God, keeping alive in dark ages your vision of a world redeemed.
מי כמוך באלים אדוני, מי כמוך נהדר בקודש. נורא תהילות אוסף אלה, נורא תהילות אוסף אלה. מלכותך ראו בניך בוקי הים, לפני משה ומרים, זה עליינו ואמרו, אדוני ימלוך, אדוני ימלוך, לעולם ועד.
I know many of us have been looking out at the world, and I know if your feed is anything like my feed and Facebook and other places, the pictures from places like Hawaii that are usually beautiful are showing us how quickly a place that people seek out for joy and vacation can become a place of destruction and death and loss. And so we're reminded that we cannot take our moments for granted, that we look to our loved ones, those around us, friends and family, our children, our spouses, our parents, and we wish for time that is filled with peace and love, and we share the words of Hashkivenu for that exact reason, that we embrace this moment that we have. For whatever fears we may have in this moment, we embrace those parts of our lives that give us great joy as we look forward to tomorrow. Hashkivenu, page 42.
Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu l'shalom, l'shalom. V'ha'amidenu shamreinu l'chaim. Ufrosalinu sukat shlomecha, frosalinu sukat shlomecha. Amen. Shelter us beneath thy wings, O Adonai. Guard us from all harmful things, O Adonai. Keep us safe throughout the night, till we wake with morning's light. Teach us, God, wrong from right, O Adonai. Amen. Amen, 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 amen.
will be reading Torah tonight, and we're reading a passage that will sound familiar to some of you as a passage. It's very similar to a number of passages that come later in Deuteronomy. We're still towards the beginning of Deuteronomy. It's a passage that asks us to look at the world, to see the blessing and the curse, and to choose blessing. Later on in Deuteronomy, it adds words to that line and says, choose life, not death. It's a great reminder. It's one of the many passages we have that the Jewish people have, for a long time, perhaps forever, believed in free will, this idea that we have a voice in what happens in the world and what happens in our life, that we have choices to make. As we begin our Amidah, there is another nod to that idea, page 47, that we say words in prayer as if everything depends on God, but we are to remind ourselves that when we take action, that we take action as though everything depends upon us. That God is a part of the world, but that we also have the ability to impact and change the world in which we live. And so we rise now, page 46, as we call upon the names of our ancestors, and eventually, through these pages that follow, we call upon our own hearts to share words that we want to say in this moment as our own prayers. Page 46, we begin our Amidah.
Adonai, sifatai tiftach, ufi yagi tehilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu v'Elohei avotenu v'imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzhak, v'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, v'Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol Hagibor v'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, v'Konei Hakol, v'zocher chastei avot v'imahot, u'mevi ge'ula livnei v'neihem, lema'an shemo be'ahava, melech ozer u'moshiach u'magen, baruch atah Adonai, magen Avraham v'ezrat Sarah, atah gibor le'olam Adonai, mechayeh hakol atah, rav lehoshia morid hatal, mechokel chayim bechesed, Mechayei hakol berachamim rabim, somech noflim verofech olim, umatir asurim, umekayem emunato lishenei afar, michamocha ba'al gevurot, umida melech memit umechayeh, umatzmiach Yeshua, v'ne'eman atah lahachayot hakol, baruch atah Adonai, mechayeh hakol.
Atah kadosh v'shimcha kadosh u'kdoshim b'chol yom yehalalucha sela, baruch atah Adonai, ha'el hakadosh. Please be seated. Ritzei Adonai Eloheinu, God, you are with us in our prayer, in our love and our doubt and our longing to feel your presence and do your will. You are the still clear voice within us. And so we ask, God, that when doubt troubles us, when anxiety brings us to tremble, when pain clouds our minds, that we look inward for the answer to our prayers and find you. And along your side, that we find the courage that we need, the insight that we seek, the endurance, so that our worship may bring us closer to one another, that all Israel and all who seek you may find new strength for your service. Baruch atah Adonai, she'otecha levadcha b'yir'ah na'avod. May we find that we are seeking out the God outside of us and the God within, as we turn our thoughts towards peace. Shalom Rav, page 60.
Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. כי אתה מלך אדון לכל השלום, כי אתה מלך אדון לכל השלום. שלום רב ישראל עמך תשים לעולם, שלום רב ישראל עמך תשים לעולם, וטוב בעיניך לברך את עמך ישראל בכל עת ובכל שעה בשלומך. שלום רב ישראל עמך תשים לעולם, שלום רב ישראל עמך תשים לעולם, תשים לעולם, תשים לעולם.
Take a moment for our own personal prayers. We seal our prayers with the words on page 62.
With Gapeyon Libi Lefanecha Yiyu Leratzon Imrefi Veyon Libi Lefanecha Adonai Turi Adonai Turi Adonai Turi Vego Ali Adonai Turi Adonai Turi Adonai Turi Vego Ali Yiyu Leraton Imrefi Vego Libi lefanecha Yiyu leraton imrefi leyon libi lefanecha.
Shabbat Shalom. That was weak. Shabbat Shalom. Okay, good. I know, Yiratzon is like a lullaby, but that doesn't mean you don't have to go all the way. So, the Torah portion this week, Re'eh, starts with that word, Re'eh, which means see, S-E-E. This day I set before you blessing and curse. And like I said earlier, it's often one of the passages that we rely on to say, see, we have choice in our life, that we have the ability to look out at the world and see what is a blessing and see what is a curse, and to, of course, make the obvious choice to choose the blessing. I looked back this week at some of the work of Abraham Joshua Heschel, the great 20th century rabbi, theologian, social justice advocate, and he looked at this very differently. He looked at good and evil as not obvious choices. He begins an essay on this with the story of a king who received his harvest report. And the report explained that whoever ate the crops would start to lose their mind. But there was a problem because there was no other food available. And so what are you going to do? You're going to choose to eat the food that will cause you to lose your mind, or are you going to choose to starve? And so the king says, the only option we have is to eat the food, and for a few of us to sort of watch out and make sure that you can point out when we're losing our minds. Now, if you follow the logic of the story, there wouldn't be anybody left to figure out who would be able to say who was losing their mind and who wasn't. So why does Heschel open an essay on good and evil with the idea that nobody would be able to know the difference? So often we frame things in terms of right or wrong, black and white, good or bad. But the reality I think Heschel is trying to point out is those sides don't fully exist. And so I think he would read the verse differently. Re'ei anochi notein lifnechem hayom bracha uklala. Re'ei, see before you blessing and curse. See if you can figure out which one is which. And understand that you might not be able to know the difference. Heschel says in the essay, all of history is a sphere where good is mixed with evil. The supreme task of humanity consists in an effort to separate good from evil and evil from good. The rabbis later in the Talmud, they write about this, particularly writing about the sixth day of creation. So it's in the sixth day of creation that we find ourselves showing up in the story. And it's in the sixth day of creation that God says not only is it good, but it's very good. Now, we like to take that as a really good accolade upon our shoulders, that God was very proud to have created human beings. The rabbis had a different idea. They actually thought very good maybe means very bad. So, 3 examples they give. You say it's very good because you say sleep is very good. But is sleep very good? Because when we drink too much, we sleep too much. And so sometimes sleep is a sign of what is very bad. Second rabbi chimes in. He says, perhaps what is good refers to the good desire, the ability to be kind to your neighbor, to do the right thing. But when we say something's very good, it's like we're pursuing something. We have an appetite for something. It's the evil desire, as we say in Hebrew, the Yetzer Hara, the desire that makes us seek things out for ourselves. And he reminds us that if it were not for these desires, no person would build a house, no person would find a spouse, no person would have children, for they would have no desires. So perhaps what is very good is actually what is a little bit selfish within us, but eventually what is selfish within us perhaps leads to something good. So if the first person is saying, what is good for one person, sleep, might be a sign of what is bad for another person, the second rabbi is saying what is bad might actually lead to something that is good. Third rabbi chimes in. Perhaps the verse very good means that it's referring to the angel of death. Well, how could that be? We're in fact talking in the sixth day about the creation of humanity. He tells a story. A king made a meal. There's lots of food in our stories. And invited the guests to put in front of them a tray filled with all the good food. They ate the food and they were so happy, and the king felt he had given them a great gift. And then he found that when someone thanked him, he felt so good about what he had done. But when the people who were there, half of them who didn't thank him, he became angry. And so, as the story says, he had them punished. The rabbi says that this is because sometimes when we do something good, it can also bring out the worst in us, because we feel we're owed something. And so what is good for one person may not be good for the other. What is seemingly bad for us, these urges that we have, may lead us to some of our most beautiful creations and opportunities to give food and shelter and love to others. And sometimes when we do something selfless, it ends up becoming selfish because we feel we're owed something. This is all Heschel's way of reminding us that sometimes we look out and we see something and we say, no, absolutely, that is the right decision. And he says, don't be so sure of yourself. Because in every decision, there is some good, there is some bad. I raise this because, as you know, this week was an election week. A strange election for us, as August elections aren't usually so popular. An election that focused on an issue very dear to our congregation, that our board, in fact, took a stance on, saying that we should vote no on issue 1, which happened to be the way that the state voted overwhelmingly, because Judaism for a long time has believed in reproductive rights, the ability for people to choose when it comes especially to decisions like abortion. And so we took a side. But that doesn't mean that our side is all good and that the other side is all bad. There was another decision this week, one that got a little bit of press in the local paper. It was brought up to me by a parent, and then I looked into it a little further. It was a decision that some of our local schools, including Copley, where my children go, have invited a group called LifeWise Academy, which is a group that teaches Christianity to students, to pull kids from school during the school day. And so many of our school districts, many of them right in our area, there was a whole long list in the Akron Beacon Journal, I think this morning or yesterday, of school districts that we're very familiar with. We'll be allowing parents to decide if they would like their elementary school children to be pulled out of class so that they can have Bible study instead of whatever other academics would be happening at that time. So here you have, on the one hand, we fought this week on issue 1 to say the majority should decide. And in the same week, we're going to say you should take care of the minority. Just because the majority of our students are Christian doesn't mean that Christianity should be the religion that is predominantly in our schools. We would say that. We would say, what about my student? And somebody could say, well, you don't make up 51% of the population. And so I share these two differing positions because I think Re'eh bracha uklala. Can we see where the curse is? Can we see where the blessing is? Are we able to whittle down what is important about issue 1? Not that one group won and another group lost, but what are the parts of that that are the blessing? Perhaps the shared blessing by even both sides. And what are the parts of it that have become selfish? What are the parts of it that have become competitive? What are the parts of it that have become ugly when they don't need to be? And so too, as was explained in the article, the proponents of bringing religion into the schools more directly feel that our children have lost a sense of hope and optimism, a sense of direction and moral values. Perhaps there's some good in that. But perhaps there's also some curses in the ways in which the good will be pursued and hurt others in the process. And so, are we able to see the variety of colors, the levels of good, the levels of blessing, and the levels of challenge and curse, and what some might even say is evil? Are we able to see that they're mixed up with each other at times? I think Re'eh Anochi notein lifnechem hayom bracha uklala, the idea that we are to see blessing and curse. Perhaps this week can mean for us not that we get to have an easy choice, but that we have to look more closely so that we can see through the easy choices, find what it is we have to bring to the surface, speak with those who have differing opinions, and find where the shared blessings are. Because I would imagine we all want hope and optimism and moral values for our kids. And I imagine we all care about life and about choice, about men and women and children. And so how can we find the blessing in the midst of the curses and notice the curses in the midst of the blessing? I hope in the coming months we'll be able to do that. And as Heschel said, as they're intertwined with each other, our most human skill and the call to us for redemption is in fact to figure out how to separate those two from each other, even though they're deeply intertwined. Shabbat Shalom. We'll hear that very verse now. As we'll take our Torah from the Ark, I invite the Brodskys to open our Ark for us. Now, if they've done no evil, then the Ark will open. 49 years, we'll see. We'll see how they've done. Please rise as we open the Ark, as they celebrate this moment for them, as they will also bless our Torah. Oh,
Ein kamocha v'Elohim Adonai, v'ein kamasecha, malchutecha malchut kol olamim, u'memshaltecha b'chol dor v'dor. Adonai melech, Adonai malach, Adonai yimloch le'olam va'ed, Adonai oz le'amo yitein, Adonai yivarech et amo v'shalom. Av harachamim, hetiv avinzoncha et Zion. Tivnei chamot Yerushalayim, tivnei chamot Yerushalayim. Ki vecha levad bataknu, melech aram v'nisa adon olamim. Ki mitzion teitzei Torah, Ki mitzion teitzei Torah, udevar Adonai mirushalayim, Baruch shenatan Torah, Torah, Baruch shenatan Torah, Torah, le'amo Yisrael bikedushato, Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, Echad Eloheinu, Gadol Adonenu, Kadosh Shemo, Gadalu Adonai iti, Unaramema Shemo Yakda. Lecha Adonai hagedula v'hagevura v'hatiferet v'hanetzach v'hahod. Ki chol b'shamayim uvaretz, ki chol b'shamayim uvaretz. Lecha Adonai hamamlacha v'hamit na'aseh lechol rosh. Al shlosha divarim, al shlosha divarim, al shlosha divarim, ha'olam omeh. Al shlosha divarim, al shlosha divarim, al shlosha divarim, ha'olam omed. Al haTorah ve'al ha'avodah ve'al gemilut chasadim. Al haTorah ve'al ha'avodah ve'al gemilut chasadim.
please be seated. It's an honor to have the Brodskys up here in honor of 49 years together. As we wish for you another 49 years. So we invite you to share the blessing on the Torah as Kinder Kathy will read that very section.
Baruch Adonai Hamvarach Le'olam Va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Hamvarach Le'olam Va'ed. Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu Melech HaOlam Asher Bachar Banu Mikol Ha'amim V'natan Lanu Et Torato. Baruch Atah Adonai Noten HaTorah.
Amen. Re'eh Anochi noten lifnechem hayom bracha uhaklala et habracha asher tishme'u el hamitzvot Adonai Elohechem asher Anochi mitzaveh etchem hayom v'haklala im lo tishme'u El mitzvot Adonai Elohechem, Psartem min haderech asher anohi, Mitzaveh etchem hayom, Lalechet acharei, Elohim acherim asher yidatem, V'haya ki yivaecha Adonai Elohecha el haaretz, Asher ata v'shama l'rishta v'natata et habracha al har gerizim v'et haklalal al har eval.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech ha'olam asher natan lanu Torah emet v'chaye olam nata b'tochenu. Baruch atah Adonai Noten HaTorah.
Thank you.
With our Torah out, we take a moment to share the strength of our story and our tradition with those who are in need of healing at this moment. As we share the words of Misha Berach, they're found on page 253. We invite you to think of those in your life who are in need of healing at this time, whether it be a healing of body, of spirit, or of mind. And we invite you, if you'd like, to share their names in the midst of our prayer.
Misha Berach Avoteinu Mekor HaBracha Limotenu. May the source of strength, who blessed the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen.
Please feel free to share a name as I look around.
Kathy Myers. Misha Berach Imotenu Mekor HaBracha Le'avotenu. Bless those in need of healing with Refuah Shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen.
Please rise as we raise the Torah before us and return it to the ark.
וזאת התורה שעשה משה לפני בני ישראל, על פי אדוני ביד משה. יד אלי לי לי, יד אלי לי לי, יד לי 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 לי, יד לי לי לי, יד לי לי לי. Lai 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 lai, ya lai lai lai, ya lai 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 lai, ya lai 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 lai, ya lai lai lai, ya lai lai lai, ya lai 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 lai. ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la la la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la. Et chaim hi v'machazikim ba v'tomecheha meushar deracheha derechei noam v'chol netivoteha shalom hashivenu Adonai Elecha v'nashuva Chadesh, Chadesh Yameinu, Chadesh Yameinu, Kekedem. Page 282 for Aleinu. Aleinu l'shabeach l'adon hakol, l'teikedu l'liotzer beishit, shelo asanu kegoye haratzot, velo samanu kamishpechat adama, shelo sam kelkenu kahem, v'gor aleinu kechol hamonam, va'anaknu korim, umishachamim umodim, Lifnei melech, malchi hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, v'nemar, v'haya Adonai, l'melech al kol haaretz, v'yom hahu, yeh Adonai echad, u'shemo,
Please be seated. Before we conclude our service, we take a moment to remember those that we've loved and lost. When I die, give what's left of me away to children and old men that wait to die. And if you need to cry, cry for your brother walking the street beside you. And when you need me, put your arms around anyone and give them what you need to give me. For I want to leave you something better than words or sounds. So look for me in the people I've known or loved. And if you cannot give me away, at least let me live in your eyes and not in your mind. For you can love me best by letting hands touch hands, by letting go of children that need to be free, by reminding people that love doesn't die. People do. So when all that's left of me is love, give me away. This week, we remember those that we've lost in these past 30 days, Kenneth Gelberd, Judith Levine, and Stanley Greenwald. So too, we recall those that we lost at this time in years past. Rose Smith Aronson, Esther Barnett, Burton Belsky, Riva Lola Cohen, Louis Cohen, L.G. Fetterman, Harry Feynman, Jack Karn, Molly Klebanow, Estelle Klein, Barbara Lushtag, Rita Lakshan, Joan Nelson, Jean Rubin, Rose Rudnick, Hannah Schechter, Samuel Sokol, William Solomon, Rabbi Marshall Taxi, David Tucholsky, and Edward Zingerman. If there are names I mispronounced or names you'd like to share, please share them. Page 294, we rise as a community as we share in the words of Mourner's Kaddish, remembering the loved ones that we've lost. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shemei rabbah, be'alma divrach hirutei v'yamlich malchutei, b'chayechon uvyomechon, uvchaye dechol beit Yisrael, ba'agala uvizman kariv v'imru amen. Yehei shmei rabbah mevarach le'olam almei almaya, Yitbarak v'yishtabak, v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh, v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shemei dekudesha barichu, le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechamata, ta'amiran be'alma v'imru, amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya, V'chaim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru. Amen. Osei shalom b'mromav. Hu ya'aseh shalom. Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru. Amen. Having connected with those that we've loved and lost, if you would like, you can connect with those around you as we bless each other with the words of the priests. May God bless you and keep you. May God's light shine upon you and be gracious unto you. May you feel God's presence within you always, and may you find peace.
Amen.
Be seated. Before we conclude our service, we want to take a moment to hear about any wonderful things going on in people's lives this week or this month even. We'll accept. Any Shechianu moments, any wonderful moments of blessing? Dina, say it loudly.
Tomorrow's our 28th wedding anniversary.
Oh,
wonderful.
mazel tov.
28th wedding anniversary. Terrific. Wonderful. Any others? One more? Yeah, Terry. Thursday's your 49th. You got beat out just by a couple weeks. Yeah, Nancy?
Thursday is our 55th anniversary.
Oh, you all lose. You all lose. So before we share Shechianu, we know that we have someone special who's watching who's going to beat all of you. Faye Spitz is 100 today.
Hi, Faye.
She's the mother of Janet Kretschmer. And so, Faye, we all wish you a happy birthday. I asked Janet to share a little bit of the accolades of Faye's life. She says, Faye, who right now is surrounded by her family, still lives independently, does her laundry by herself every week. She has 4 grandchildren, 5 great-grandchildren, and got the joy of having one of her grandchildren get engaged today and being able to be a part of that. And so, as you celebrate the engagement of a grandchild, a granddaughter, I believe, and you celebrate your 100th birthday, we celebrate all these great blessings in our lives, these moments that we share with each other as we share the words of Shechianu.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shehechianu v'kimanu v'higianu lazman hazeh. Amen.
We'll conclude with Motzi. Why don't we invite all of our Bima guests? You can all help us with Motzi. It's so nice to have a full, it's like the holidays. We have a full Bima. So we'll join together in Motzi and in Oseh Shalom.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav, hu yaseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Ve'al kol yoshvei tevel ve'imru. Amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav, hu yaseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'al kol yoshvei tevel ve'imru. Amen. Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
That was not me.
I know, it was, oops.
It was you? Oh, well, it wasn't Josh. Oh, shoot. I'm sitting over there feeling so guilty. I'm like, I never have it on vibrate. It's not me. It's not me. Oh, good. Okay, I feel better now.
Here was vibrating, and it's Josh. Somebody's calling Josh. His phone is right here. Is it supposed to rain? I have an umbrella.
It looks very rainy.
Really?
Yeah, it's even supposed to be cool.
I have jeans and I have a jean jacket. Oh, that's amazing. Where are you going to go for dinner? Oh, okay. He went with Lori, our neighbors, Lori and John Mearsh, next to, not Barry, the other Lori and John. Oh. We have Lori and John on either side. Okay. All right, thanks. Thank you. Aren't they? They really are. Thank you very much.